Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Jordan from PictureMonk.com, as always, and welcome to episode 49 of the podcast. Running up on 50 here, even though I've had technically more than 50 episodes. But next week, it's going to be fun to have 50. So for this episode, as you can tell by the title of it's called Hate Mail, which is going to be, this is going to be not necessarily a straightforward photography podcast. This episode in particular, it has to do with some recent hate mail that I've got. None of which bothers me at all. But I just thought it would be fun to read some of it and see what people are saying. But before I get into that, like always, we want to get into the news topic for the episode. And I have two topics. One is from actually both of them are from friends of mine. One of them is from my quote unquote good looking barrel chested best friend, and so this one's from Justin Brown, and aka Justin Incredible. That's what he calls himself, I guess. But anyway, he sent me an article from theconversation.com, and it talks about feeling overwhelmed. The title of it is "We're Feeling Overwhelming Effects from Image Overload," and so I was reading the article, and it was actually a pretty good article, and talks about how these days, people, especially younger folks. Folks is not really a younger term, so I kind of just mixed two generations there. But younger people out there kind of feel pressured to constantly post images for to stay up to date, and always post stuff on Instagram, Snapchat, because those are the two fastest growing social media platforms. And so, also those are image based image sharing. It's basically what it is. It's image heavy, and so. A professor from the University of Texas, actually, in a photography course, had his students go out with a film camera, old school film camera, and take photos that way, and then write about their experiences. And he basically got the impression from the students that they kind of liked the fact of taking the photo and then having to wait. I imagine these students were from a generation like mine where, I kind of remember film. I mean, obviously I took pictures on film, but it wasn't like professional photos. It was just like, pop a film thing in there and just go tap some photos and send them off to like Walmart or something to get them printed. That thing. Never had to deal with a dark room or anything like that. But, now they're they kind of like that feeling of having that delay in between taking the photo and getting the photo back to review it, because it makes you think a little bit harder about, the time of day that you're going out, the lighting, your framing and all that kind of stuff. So they actually kind of like that a little bit. You figured it would be the other way around with not being able to instantly see your photo, so that instant gratification is gone. But it's kind of a cool thing. So I kind of agreed with all of that pretty much. I mean, even when I'm taking photos, I feel somewhat pressured to try to get those photos up. Maybe not by anybody at all, but by myself, to try to get those photos up on any or all of my social media accounts within the day, or within the next day or two. I want to do that. I'm pressured to do that because I feel like it was a wasted trip if I just went out and took some photos and they're just sitting on my hard drive. I have plenty of photos sitting on my hard drive that I haven't pushed out there, and so I guess it constantly feels like a wasted trip. So I kind of get what they're saying here. So if you want to read the full article, as always, I'll post the article in the show notes at picturemonk.com/PMP049. So go check that out if you want to. The next one is also from another friend who we kind of email back and forth every once in a while, and she sent a photo, like an iPhone photo ad thing. I don't really know how to explain it, but it's kind of a cool experiment. So the magazine Bon Appetit they obviously deal with food, stuff like that. It's a pretty good magazine. But they sent their photographers out to take photos of, let's see here, they went to numerous festivals, fine dining places over the course of a month. And instead of giving them their high-end DSLRs and all the lighting equipment and everything, they gave them iPhones, basically. They gave them iPhone 6, I think it's iPhone 6S's. So the newest generation iPhone, they gave them out. And, the photos they took ended up being all published in the magazine. So basically, what it looks like is the whole almost an episode, the whole magazine is a 43-page magazine, just consisting of iPhone photos taken by the photographers, and the images are really awesome. And that just goes to show you, if you know what you're doing, you know the basics, you know the concept of different lighting techniques and where light's coming from, how it's going to hit something and how it's going to react and all this kind of stuff, you're going to get amazing photos no matter what camera you have. And so if you want to see some of those images and want to read the full article of that as well, head on over to picturemonk.com/PMP049. You can check that out as well. So now we're going to the listener question, and the listener question of the week is from a George Gustafson of San Antonio, Texas, USA. And he writes, what is the best way to design my photography website? There are a lot of templates out there, and I don't know which one to choose, and I don't know which one I want to change. Not sure what you mean there, but thanks. So, George, the best way to design your website, for me at least, my day job is a graphic designer, so I'm kind of got a tiny bit of a heads up on you here. But what I would do for someone, if you don't have a sort of design background as far as that goes, I would Google as many photography websites as you can. Even popular, famous millionaire photographers, all the way to maybe a local wedding photographer in your area, and see how their sites look. There's going to be a wide variety of sites out there, and I would almost guarantee you that if you Google maybe 5 and make a list of the things that you really like about each site. So go to each page of the website, go to the gallery, go to the contact, go to the home page, the about page, stuff like that. Go to all those pages and write down what you like about each individual page. And depending on what service you use, or maybe you're building it on your own, I have no idea, but what service you use, you should be able to customize most of that to fit all of those needs that you like. So for me, my portfolio website is photographynorthcarolina.com. And when you go there, it's got sort of a parallax effect. So it's got a banner for landscapes, banner for real estate, banner for blog, I think, or a damage collection is what I call it. But the damage collection there, and then also the blog. It's got those four headers. And so I really like that effect, and I don't see a lot of photographers out there using that sort of effect, so it just so helped that I liked it. So I applied that to my images, and I think it really gives it a cool effect when somebody jumps on it for the first time. So again, I would write down the 5 things that you like about all the websites that you Google and research, and then try to incorporate all those together in your portfolio. So that's the best news I can give, because when I went through design school, technically that's some of the stuff that we had to do. It's more research. It's research over implementation. So research should be 70% of the time, and 30% of the time it should be implementation of that research. So that's a good way to do it, and that's basically what I did as well. So thanks, George, for that question. And now let's get into the meat and the bones of this of this fun episode that we're doing here. I don't know how much I'm going to touch on each one of these, but I'm going to read them, and there is sort of a underlying photography I don't even know how to say, lesson. I guess I guess that's what it is. But let's go and get on the first one. And it looks like some of these are usernames, so I don't have the real names of these people. Judging by what they've written, I'm pretty sure they don't listen anymore, so it really doesn't matter. So the first one is from Harper3302. I guess there were 3,301 of you before Harper3302. And they wrote, why do you even put out a podcast? All you do is talk about useless things that everybody already knows. I am unsubscribing and I'm going to listen to real photography pros. Huh. So Harper, just in case you are listening to this, basically if you listen to any photography show, any photography podcast, the meat and bones of it all is we all talk about the same stuff, because basically photography is sort of not really a niche, but it's niched down pretty much to where, we're all talking about composition, lighting, settings, gear, resources, stuff like that. And we all are going to talk about most of the same stuff. We might have different opinions of what we talk about, which is understandable because everybody has a different opinion. But photography is going to talk about the same stuff. And one thing I've noticed is there is a photography podcast that I started listening to recently. And I cannot remember the name. It's T-Break Photography or T-Break Tog, or it's got T-Break in there somewhere. And she talks about the most basic stuff. And a lot of it is stuff I already know. And I guarantee you a lot of it is stuff that a lot of people know. Maybe not like really super beginners, but she caters to that niche. And so, and it's really good information. I love listening to it. And so it's one of those things where if you're not liking what you're listening to because you already technically know everything about that, then you can definitely unsubscribe, and it's not going to be that big of a deal. So, but again, we're all going to talk about gear, lighting, blah, 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 blah. That's just how it is. We're going to give our different side of it, and we're going to give how we think about it, but that's just how it is. So, thanks, Harper, for that. I very much appreciate that. That was fun. Let's see. The next one is this is another username, so I don't have the name here. Slackline for Reels, Reels with a Z. So here we go. Your photography sucks. The your is YOU''RE. That's UR, not your. I'm not an English major, and I know that one. Your photography sucks. Even the free photos that you give away are bad. Your advice is bad. Your videos are bad. And you don't even know anything about photography. Just stop. You have lost another follower. So maybe that was a Twitter one. I don't know for reals. I don't know for sure. I don't really know how to respond to that one, Your photography sucks. And by the way, just let me say this here. When you said every one of them is YOU''RE. So if you are listening, you might want to pop open a dictionary and just check out the meanings of your, and your. So, I don't really know how to respond to that. I would hope my photography does not suck. And I would hope my advice is not bad, my videos are not bad, and I don't know anything about photography. So I would hope that's not true. That's all right. This is actually kind of fun for me. I just like reading this stuff. Let's go to the next one. Let's see. How do you expect to keep podcast listeners if you don't record an episode every week that is good? Seems like every week you take off time and then expect us to stick around. I do want to listen, but you don't. This is really hard to read. I don't want to listen, I think you meant I do want to listen. I do want to listen, but you need to work on your regular schedule. And this one is from Nork, N-O-R-K 87 Isaba. It's I-S-A-B-A. So, I mean, they might have a legitimate point on this one. A couple weeks ago, there was an audio issue, and I couldn't put out a podcast that week. The following weekend, I formatted my card with video footage on it. Still put out the podcast, though. And so you might have a point on that one. I don't know. But you know what? This is not a full-time gig for me. I would love for it to be. I will say that. It's not a full-time gig. So, you know, I have a baby under one. I have a family I have a wife. I have animals, you know. I have a 9-to-5 job every day. So, you know what? If I skip a week, I'm sorry, guys. You're going to have to understand that. I'm trying the best I can. And plus, I'm still putting out videos on top of that, blog posts, stuff like that. So, you know, sometimes the stuff you love, even though this is like a hobby that I would love for to be a business, sometimes it has to take a back seat to what's more important. So that one wasn't as bad. I'll give them that. So thank you, Nork, I guess. I would hope that's not your real name. All right, so let's go to the last one here. This one's a little bit of a lengthy one. Not too bad. So this one is from, I got a real name on this one. Mark Rutherford from Nashville, Tennessee. And he says, hi, all you do is talk about the easiest type of photography, which is landscape and real estate stuff. That is super easy, so the tips are useless. Whew. Try actually being a real photographer and shoot weddings and portraits. Then you are qualified to give advice. I'm going to have to respectfully disagree with you on that one. Landscape photography and real estate photography is not the easiest. I would say it's the most accessible because you don't have to gather a group of people to say, hey, can you pose for me? Or you don't have to, you know, dress up in a fancy suit and throw on your gear on and go take a picture of a wedding of 70 people, 80 people, 200 people. So I would say it's more accessible. Real estate photography is actually more difficult than I thought because I'm still learning the ins and outs about that. I'm trying to do more of it. But I wouldn't say it's the easiest either, because if you're thinking real estate photography and landscape photography is easy because there's nothing to deal with, try looking at the business side of it. So landscape photography is probably the hardest as far as a business, because you basically become an artist then. And we all know that a lot of artists are very unrecognized. Painters are unrecognized, especially if you don't have a big name. So, you know, the business aspect of that is pretty tough. Real estate photography also sort of tough. It's not as tough as portrait photography and stuff like that. But real estate, you know, you have to, you know, instead of putting your website out there for random people to find and say, hey, I want to get a photographer to shoot our family over the weekend or something like that. You're catering to a select group of people, which are realtors, to try to hire you to come in and shoot homes for them. And, you know, depending on what area you are, you're probably going to make $100, $150 a pop, which is not much, but hopefully you have, you know, a bunch of shoots all in one time. So I would say it's not the easiest, if you look at the big picture of it. Yeah, I know that, you know, portrait photography, you know, wedding photography and stuff like that. There is a big business behind that as well, because you got to do invoicing, you got to do printing, proofing. You have a whole lot more images to edit and stuff like that. So, I will say that it's not as easy, it's not as hard as those. So you do have a point on that one. But I think I'm somewhat qualified to give a little bit of advice, at least. That's the beauty about podcasts. There is always an unsubscribe button above every podcast that you listen to. So if you don't like it, you can totally unsubscribe. So, but thank you, Mark, for your feedback. And so the main reason I really talked about all this was because when you are a photographer or an artist in general, basically, you're going to get criticisms. You always are going to get people who criticize your work, who don't like your work, who just really hate everything you do, apparently. So you're gonna have that, and you're not gonna get around it. There are 8 billion people in the world. There's gonna be a couple that hate you. So if you're liking what you're doing, if you're liking the style that you do, if you're liking how you're sharing stuff, more power to you. So keep on what you're doing. And you guys are doing a great job. If you just kind of keep a level head about it and not let stuff like this get to you. That's why I like reading it, because it doesn't get to me at all. I find it more funny than people take the time to write stupid little things like this. But so I know it's not really a technical photography thing, but I hope you guys enjoyed that at my expense, apparently. All right, so let's get into the widget of the week. The widget of the week this week is a simple one. Like I said last week, I believe, I talked about my GoPro dying, and so I was going to buy another GoPro. So I settled on the GoPro Hero Session, or the GoPro Hero 4 Session, which is actually this little dude right here. If you're watching the YouTube channel here, this little guy right here. I'm not the newest person to get this. This thing's been out for a little bit. But I really like it. I was reading reviews on it when I was trying to figure out what to get, and the reviews are older reviews because it has been out for a while. So the reviews are a little older, and a lot of people are like, "Don't get it. Get the GoPro Hero 4, the regular GoPro. Get that one. It's the same price as that one. The video's way better. The audio's way better. All that stuff." Well, GoPro kind of goofed up a little bit, and they set the price of that GoPro, the Session, equal to the price of the GoPro Hero 4 Silver, I think. And if you compare those two at the same price, the other one is way better. But that one's $200 now on Amazon, and for $200 you get a fully waterproof, no case GoPro, extremely small, can go anywhere. And the video is I actually shot video today with it. It's great. I love it. The mic picks up very, very well. And I might even set this up for podcasts in the future as like a second angle. I don't know, because it's so good. So it's really good. I would definitely recommend it. If you guys have been looking to go with a GoPro, and you don't have one now, or you want to get a newer one, maybe you have an older one, and want to check that out, I'm going to put a link on Amazon to the one I got. And if you get it now, you can actually get, for $199, you can actually get this and a 32 gig micro SD card for the same price, because you can choose just the camera or the camera and the card. They're both the same price, so why not get both the camera and the card? So check that out there if you've been looking at it. I basically call this a starter GoPro, even though the video is really good. It's a starter GoPro basically because it's one of the cheaper ones. I think it actually is the cheapest, and it's really great. So I would definitely check that out. Look for videos coming with that. Like I said, I shot video today with it. So when I get some time, I'm going to try to compile all that together and kind of give you an example of what was shot on it. So I guess that's it, guys. I'm going to wrap this up and get on to editing some photos behind me. I got a time lapse to edit. I got some more photos, some promo photos to edit. So I'm going to go ahead and get to that. And thank you guys for joining me in this podcast episode. It was a very fun one, a very eye-opening experience of how people hate the PictureMonk Photography podcast, but it's all right. It doesn't bother me at all. So you guys, if you guys are sticking around, I'm glad you guys are here. I'm glad you guys follow me, and it's always fun to talk with you every week. So Thanks again for listening, guys. Head on over to picturemonk.com/PMP049 for all the stuff I talked about. And thank you for rating the podcast on iTunes, sharing the podcast with friends, family, blah, 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 blah. You got it. So thanks, guys, for listening to the podcast this week, and I will catch you in the next one.